Some days are good and some years are
Clean Getaway by Nick Stone. Chapter 14. So Far From Home. They ride in silence for a short while. No music even. But when Gmail spots the exit sign for Edwards, Mississippi, she gasps. They don't take the exit, thank goodness. But as soon as they pass beneath the bridge, Gmail bites her lip. "Apologies, William, but I have to pull over." Scoob doesn't move a muscle as they glide to a bumpy stop on the shoulder of the highway, or so Dad calls it. He truly wishes Dad were here now. This whole day has been a lot, and even Dad's signature scowl would make Scoob feel more stable. "I know we said we were going to keep it moving, but that exit we just passed," she faces him. "That city was our stopping point last time. It's where we turned around." Scoob's not sure what he expected her to tell him, but it wasn't that. Nice to know he's finally going to get an answer to one of his questions. "Why did you turn around, Gma?" "Your father." "My father?" "Yeah, but I thought you took the trip before he was Oh, I see." "I wasn't paying attention to the date we had to stop in Meriden, but after that encounter with the officers in Jackson, sickness crushed over me like a runaway freight train. As we pulled off here in Edward so I could get some air, your G-Pop mentioned the date aloud because it was his late father's birthday. That's when I realized I was 3 days overdue for my cycle. Knew right then that I was pregnant." Wow. Scoob is riveted now. "What happened?" "Well, we were nervous about having a baby. Certain hadn't planned on one, but it was also exciting. Problem was, we didn't know if we'd be able to find a doctor who would treat a white woman carrying a black man's child where we were headed, so we turned our RV around." Dang. Were there really doctors who would turn away a woman with a baby in her stomach? That's deep, Gmal. "It was a hard decision, kiddo. We knew returning to Atlanta might be trouble for a number of reasons. Some your G-Pop wasn't even aware of. But we also knew we'd have a doctor. Jimmy said he'd never forgive himself if something happened to the baby, so that was that." "Trip over," Scoob says, really feeling it. "Indeed." The sound of other vehicles whizzing by fills the cab, and Gmal peers over at Scoob, which makes him wonder if she's about to call him the wrong name, or Crumple again. But then she smiles. "This is the furthest I've ever gotten, Scooby-Doob." He can't help but smile back. For the first time since they started the journey, she looks really and truly happy. "Congrats, Gma." She blushes and spins her chair around. "I'm going to take a quick potty break and freshen up, if you don't mind. Then we'll be on our way." "Cool." Once she disappears into the bathroom, Scoob tries to sift through some of the new stuff he's learned and get his bearings. Yeah, Gma's happy, which does make Scoob happy, but the word contraband still hasn't left his mind from when they were in front of the Evers house. And now there's more. Mentions of trouble and reasons for not returning to Atlanta, which reminds him of pickpocketing, petty theft, and poor decisions. There's stuff G-Pop wasn't even aware of, and strange sleep talk about fixing it. Shifting license plates and suspicious diamond earrings. By the time she slips back into the driver's seat, grinning at him like it's going out of style, all Scoob's questions have condensed into one. Who even is my Gmal? To Scoob's surprise, Gmal decides to pass Vicksburg. "Nothing here but a Civil War memorial, and I think you and I have had enough PUS history for the day." She holds her nose when she says this. But the sun's begun to sink by the time they cross the state line and stop for tacos in Monroe, Louisiana. So he's not surprised at all when she says she needs a nap, and they head to an RV park right after. Who knew there were so many? As soon as she vanishes behind her bed curtain, leaving Scoob at the table drawing in the margins of his map, he's made a decision. He's going to call Dad. He waits until he can hear her faint snores before creeping to the cab of the RV and easing into the driver's seat. He slowly reaches into the door. The phone isn't there. He looks all around him, checks every possible spot. Cup holders, center console, glove box. Nothing. Did she hide it? Yeah, she was being weird about him making a call earlier, and okay, fine, has been weird about the phone in general, especially when it comes to Dad. But would she really put it somewhere he couldn't find it? What if there was an emergency and he needed to call 911? Surely she considered that. Didn't she? Bewildered, Scoob returns to the live-in part and quietly, carefully checks every place of concealment he can see. Cabinets, drawers, anything that opens. There's no phone, but Scoob does make an unexpected discovery in the hidden space behind the kitchen TV. Rubber-banded piles, 4 of them, of crudely stacked green paper rectangles. Money. He pulls his hand back like something's bitten him and shoves the TV back into place. Then he plops down into the dining booth. Jamal groans, but it barely even registers. In a way, Scoob guesses it makes sense for her to have a lot of cash. She did just sell her house, and that's all he's ever seen her use to pay for stuff. But then that word pops into his head again, with gusto this time. Contraband. This definitely feels contrabandy. Or is he overthinking? He does know it suddenly makes sense why parents don't want their kids watching R-rated movies. His imagination's running wild, which is not helpful in this moment. What if she, robbed a bank right before she came and got him? He's got to do something. Heading to a neighboring camper or the campground offices to ask for a phone to use seems a little extreme. This isn't exactly life or death. At least he doesn't think it is. Besides, after flipping through the green book, which is safely back beneath his pillow, and hearing Jamal's stories about the olden days, Scoob's not sure he wants to walk around this campground alone. Yes, there were 5 whole safe places listed in Monroe, Louisiana, but still, everyone he's seen at this campground so far has looked like Jamal, and there's no forgetting the way those people were glaring at him in that Alabama restaurant just 2 days ago. He sighs and lets his head drop back, which is when his eyes fall on Jamal's treasure box beside the kitchen sink. Normally, he wouldn't snoop around in her stuff, but maybe she slipped the phone in there while he wasn't looking. He takes a super deep breath, glances at the bed space curtain one more time, and rises to grab the box. Decides to take it up into his bunk to scope it out, because at least then he's got his own curtain to hide behind, and will have time to stash it if she happens to get up while he's committing what feels like breaking and entering. Once he's sequestered away, he closes his eyes and sends a silent apology in Jamal's direction, then holds his breath as he lifts the lid. Slowly, carefully, quietly, Scoob removes Jamal's most treasured relics piece by piece and lays them out on his bunk. Things he didn't notice before: a weirdly large silver coin, $50 it says. When the heck was that a thing? A piece of heavy paper the size and shape of a credit card that, upon reading, Scoob discovers is Jamal's old driver's license. A stack of business cards rubber-banded together, all of which appear to be from jewelry stores. And there's the thin gold necklace he saw her lay on the table earlier. The charm looks like a miniature skeleton key, like the one Shanice has for the trunk that belonged to her great-grandfather, who was apparently some big-deal baseball player. Then he's looking down into maroon velvet. The pink diamond earrings aren't there, which is comforting, but also terrifying. What if his mind is playing tricks on him? Also, the opposite of comforting. There's no phone. A burst of fury shoots up from Scoob's belly like a geyser to the brain. He hates everything and wants this dumb trip to be over. After shoving all Jamal's junk toward the bunk's back wall, There's no way he's putting any of it back right now. And laying on his back, Scoob shuts his eyes. One thing's for sure. William Scoob Lamars never felt so far from home.
Some days are good and some years